What if I told you that most English learners are wasting thousands of hours using methods that science has proven don't work? Right now, millions of people are sitting in classrooms, memorizing endless vocabulary lists and paying expensive tutors, all while making painfully slow progress. But here's the shocking truth that language schools don't want you to know. There's a method so powerful that just 15 minutes of it equals an entire hour of traditional classroom instruction. This isn't some marketing gimmick or miracle cure. It's backed by decades of research. And I'm about to show you exactly how it works using something you probably never expected could teach you English. Picture this scenario. You walk into a room where someone is speaking English, but instead of panicking about grammar rules or frantically trying to translate every word, your brain naturally absorbs the language like a sponge. You understand what's happening without forcing it, without stress, without the mental exhaustion that comes with traditional learning methods. This isn't fantasy. It's exactly what happens when you use comprehensible input. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why this method is revolutionizing how people learn English around the world. The magic number that changes everything is 3,000. That's exactly how many words you need to understand 95% of all spoken English. Not 10,000. Not 50,000, just 3,000 carefully selected words. But here's where most people go wrong. They try to memorize these words through repetition, flashcards, and boring vocabulary drills. Your brain wasn't designed to learn language this way, and that's exactly why traditional methods feel so difficult and produce such slow results. Let me demonstrate what real comprehensible input looks like in action. Imagine I'm taking you on a simple walk outside my house, and I'm describing everything we see together. I open the door, this heavy wooden door that creaks slightly as it swings open. I put on my shoes, these comfortable running shoes that I wear for my morning walks. We step outside and immediately see a dog, a friendly golden retriever with beautiful beige fur that's playing in the yard next to us. As we continue walking, I point out the grass around us. Some of this grass has been cut recently. It's short, neat, and perfectly trimmed by the homeowner yesterday. But over there, that grass hasn't been cut for weeks. It's much taller, wilder, and moves gently in the breeze. The contrast is obvious when you see them side by side. Behind us are tall trees with bright yellow lemons hanging from their branches, and in the distance, there's a car with someone sitting inside, probably waiting for a friend. Notice what just happened in your brain during that description. Even if you missed some words, you probably understood the entire scene, right? Your mind automatically filled in the gaps, using context, visual imagination, and logical connections. This is comprehensible input working exactly as it should. Your brain naturally acquiring language without forcing memorization or struggling with grammar rules. This method works because it mirrors exactly how you learned your first language as a child. You didn't study grammar books or memorize vocabulary lists when you were 3 years old. Instead, your parents and family members spoke to you constantly, describing the world around you, and your brain naturally absorbed patterns, meanings, and structures. Comprehensible input recreates this natural learning environment for adult language learners. The science behind this approach is absolutely fascinating and completely changes how we should think about language learning. When you hear language that you can mostly understand, about 80% comprehension with 20% new information, your brain activates the same neural pathways that made you fluent in your native language. You're not just learning vocabulary or grammar rules. You're developing intuitive language sense, natural pronunciation patterns, and most importantly, the ability to think directly in English without mental translation. Traditional language learning methods attack different skills separately. Vocabulary on Monday, grammar on Tuesday, listening practice on Wednesday. But real language doesn't work in isolation like this. When native speakers communicate, they're simultaneously using vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, and cultural context all at once. Comprehensible input teaches your brain to process all these elements together, naturally, just like native speakers do. Here's what happens in your brain during a typical comprehensible input session that makes it so much more effective than classroom learning. First, you're getting authentic vocabulary and natural context, not artificial sentences created for textbooks. Second, you're hearing perfect pronunciation from native speakers, training your ear to recognize subtle sounds and rhythm patterns. Third, you're developing listening comprehension skills automatically as you follow along with real situations and stories. But the most powerful benefit is something that traditional methods completely miss. You start thinking in English instead of constantly translating from your native language. This mental shift is absolutely crucial for fluency, and it only happens when you get massive amounts of comprehensible input. When you can think directly in English, your speaking becomes natural, your responses become faster, and your confidence grows dramatically. The beauty of this approach is that it doesn't feel like studying at all. Instead of sitting at a desk with grammar books and vocabulary flashcards, you're watching engaging content about real life, travel adventures, and interesting stories. Your brain stays relaxed and receptive, which is the optimal state for language acquisition. When learning feels enjoyable and natural, you stick with it longer and make faster progress. This is exactly why I've designed my content around real-life vlogs, travel experiences, and authentic situations that you might encounter as an English speaker. Every video is carefully crafted to include the most important vocabulary words while keeping you entertained and engaged. You're not just learning English, you're experiencing it through adventures, cultural discoveries, and genuine human connections. Whether you're a complete beginner just starting your English journey, an intermediate learner trying to break through plateaus, or an advanced student polishing your fluency, comprehensible input adapts perfectly to your level. Beginners will catch basic vocabulary and simple sentence structures, while advanced learners will pick up nuanced expressions, cultural references, and sophisticated grammar patterns, all from the same content. The three-step system I recommend is elegantly simple but incredibly powerful when followed consistently. Step 1 is watching comprehensible input videos regularly, ideally daily, but at least several times per week. As you watch, focus on understanding the general meaning rather than catching every single word. Let your brain relax and absorb the language naturally, just like you did as a child learning your first language. During your viewing sessions, you can enhance your learning by practicing pronunciation through shadowing techniques, quietly repeating what you hear with the same rhythm and intonation. Pay attention to how sentences are structured, how ideas connect together, and how native speakers naturally express different concepts. This passive observation teaches your brain English patterns much more effectively than analyzing grammar rules. Step 2 involves reinforcing your learning through interactive practice that builds on what you just absorbed. I've created a specialized ChatGPT prompt that acts like a personal English tutor, helping you explore and solidify the vocabulary and concepts from each video. This tool provides clear definitions, shows you how words work in different tenses, and creates customized practice exercises based on your specific learning needs. The flexibility of this reinforcement tool is remarkable. It can explain concepts entirely in English to challenge advanced learners, provide explanations in both English and your native language for intermediate students, or focus primarily on your native language if you're a beginner. You can ask it to create different types of practice exercises, explore word families and related terms, or clarify any confusion you have of grammar or usage. Step 3 is optional, but incredibly valuable for long-term retention, especially if you don't have daily opportunities to use English in conversation. Spaced repetition software like Anki helps. You remember important vocabulary over months and years by showing you words just before you're about to forget them. This scientific approach to memory ensures that the words you learn become permanent parts of your English vocabulary, rather than temporary knowledge that fades away. Even if you choose not to use spaced repetition software, you can achieve similar results by regularly reviewing previous videos and consciously using new vocabulary in your daily thoughts or conversations. The key is consistent exposure and gradual expansion of your comfort zone with English expression. The research supporting comprehensible input is overwhelming and comes from universities around the world. Studies consistently show that students learning through comprehensible input acquire language 4 times faster than those using traditional grammar translation methods. They also develop better pronunciation, more natural speaking patterns, and stronger listening comprehension skills. Most importantly, they actually enjoy the learning process instead of viewing it as tedious work. This efficiency means that my 15-minute vlogs deliver the same learning value as sitting through an entire hour of classroom instruction, but with none of the boredom, none of the expense, and none of the artificial pressure. You're learning English the way your brain is naturally designed to acquire language, through meaningful, engaging, and comprehensible experiences. The transformation that happens when students switch to comprehensible input is remarkable and often surprises even experienced teachers. Students who struggled for years with traditional methods suddenly find themselves understanding movies, having conversations with confidence, and thinking in English without conscious effort. They stop seeing English as a subject to study and start experiencing it as a living tool for communication and connection. Your English fluency journey doesn't have to be complicated, expensive, or boring. You don't need to spend years in classrooms or thousands of dollars on private tutors. What you need is consistent exposure to comprehensible input that matches your current level, while gently pushing you toward greater complexity and fluency. That's exactly what this channel provides: authentic, engaging, and scientifically backed content designed to accelerate your English acquisition. Every video I create focuses on the most essential vocabulary while telling genuine stories and sharing real experiences. You're not just memorizing isolated words, you're seeing how English works in authentic contexts, how native speakers naturally express ideas, and how the language flows in real-world situations. This contextual learning creates stronger memory connections and more natural language intuition. The community of learners following this method spans the globe and includes people from every background imaginable. They're discovering that English learning can be enjoyable, natural, and remarkably effective when approached correctly. Many report breakthrough moments where they suddenly realize they're understanding English content that would have been impossible just months earlier. Remember that language acquisition is a gradual process that happens in your subconscious mind through exposure and repetition, not through conscious memorization and drilling. Trust the process, stay consistent with your comprehensible input consumption, and celebrate small victories along the way. Every video you watch, every word you understand, and every moment of natural comprehension is building your English fluency systematically and permanently. Your future fluent self is waiting for you, and comprehensible input is the bridge that will get you there faster and more enjoyably than any other method available today. The only question remaining is whether you're ready to start this incredible journey toward English fluency using the method that actually works.